What's going on, everybody? Well, we're almost done with the regular season. We're at week 17 here with a bunch of teams still relevant and a lot of stuff going on. And Sheets has still got one of his big survivor pools going. And we're gonna go through game by game on this giant NFL slate. We do have the full slate. I knock on wood, tend to do really well. Actually, week 16 used to be my best week. I had a really good week 16, so I can't complain about 5-figure profits. But that's usually my big week, the last week before the season. So I'm hoping it transfers over to this week, because this is the second to last week of the season, and we've got a lot of games to choose from. So we're going to have to be a little bit more selective, I think, in some of our plays, or depending on how you look at it, get extremely spread out. So we'll figure it out. It's going to be on. I mean, this slate is going to be on January 2nd, so you have a day to recover from your New Year's shenanigans, whatever that is. Sheets, any initial thoughts on the slate before we dive right in, because it's a big one.
It is a big one, and fortunately or unfortunately, it's the same suspects for me with respect to which teams I want to play and which running backs are showing up as good plays and stuff. You got the two best. You have a great game though, by the way. This who would have thought this beginning of the year? This Kansas City Cincinnati game. That's not. I don't think it's on the main. Oh, it is on the main slate. Boy, oh boy.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, that's the game. I think that everyone's going to gravitate towards. But it's a big slate, so there's going to be plenty of plays outside of there. So yep. We'll go game by game. Let's pull up your screen, and we will talk through this because it is a mother of a slate. Is this the biggest slate of the year? I think. Well, no, because they have. I guess there's another. No, this is the biggest. It's got to be the biggest because there's only the one Monday game.
It has to be, but hang on. I'm just trying to find something real quick because I don't want to talk unintelligently about this. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen. Sorry.
All right. So we'll do it. We'll go game by game.
I got it.
Remember, guys, this is going to be a first look. Don't get, this is not there's going to be things that happen in this era. We know that come up though. So just keep that in mind. All right, first game we've got is New England and Jacksonville. Sheets, are you doing anything in this game?
No. I mean, you would think that logically, New England defense, right, would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But actually, I shouldn't say that. So I do actually like something from this game. I just wrote it down. Really, just totally long shot, whatever. But I do, for whatever reason, like Marvin Jones on the Jacksonville side. They're going to be playing from behind, and he's cheap. So that's really literally all that I had in this game.
Yeah, I have the same. I have Harris and Jones. I actually like Harris, though. The only issue is if Ramondre Stevenson is not back yet, which he's currently questionable, I really will like Harris. If he is back, he's going to get the carries, and he probably would get, I don't want to say blowout run, but he'll get some full possessions if they're up by 3 touchdowns late, which is very likely. I mean, honestly, there's New England's favored by 15 in this game, and I actually expect them to cover. I'm not going to put that as one of my bets because it's too big of a spread, but they should absolutely trounce Jacksonville with nothing to play for, and New England with basically everything to play for after coming off of a loss. I think New England just houses them here, and I can't see this game staying remotely close. And worries me even a little bit for the idea of playing Jones. That I don't know. I guess he's not like a part of their future, but other than the fact that yes, he's getting paid to play football. Why would they have him out there? I mean, this game could be like this. It wouldn't surprise me if this is 28-0, and by the end of halfway through the second quarter or something. I do think Laquan Treadwell is another. Interesting play that you could consider, but nobody who I'm all that excited about. I have Tavon Austin projecting well, and I'm not entirely sure how that's possible in this year, 2021. I know he had a big game last week against the Jets, but I don't think I could do it. Maybe at 3,400, he's okay. I just think there's better plays to come, and we're going to talk a lot about this next game, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I'm going to update my projections on this because I have everybody probably way too low on this game right now. But I mean, you don't need projections to tell you this is going to be. There's a lot of offense to be had in this game. So on the Cincinnati side, it seems to be the usual suspects, right? So Burrow, Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. I mean, certainly makes sense.
Mhm.
And on the Kansas City side, there's Mahomes and Tyreek Hill and all the dudes, right? But we got to see, is Kelsey gonna play? I guess that's he's downgraded from questionable to out. That was last week.
Yeah, I think he'll probably play, is my guess.
Yeah. So this is definitely a game that people are going to want to target. If it does become too popular, I'll fade it. There's a lot of there's other spots I could play,
Mhm.
but certainly looks to be a close game with some good passing offenses from both sides. So this is, what's the total in this game? Got to be 53, right?
Only 50. I was actually a little surprised that it wasn't even a little bit higher, but it's 50. It's still pretty high. But KC's defense, I think, is the reason why it hasn't gone higher, is that they've actually really shown up lately. But I think you're going to want pieces of this game for sure. The T. Higgins, I can't get enough of how good this guy is. Like, I mean, and like downfield, but not just that. I mean, he's just the guy. He's got such a big body, and he's so good with his routes. Like he's getting open all the time. I have him as my priority for Cincinnati. But I do like all three of the receivers. And just in different forms. I think that I'd go Higgins, Boyd, Chase. Maybe you could reverse to Higgins, Chase, Boyd, but Boyd always seems to get overlooked, and was literally one borderline, whether it was called a catch or not, away from having a monster game last week and shooting me into third place in the million. But and then on the other side, my priorities actually, like if Kelsey plays, I really like Kelsey, but I think I'd go Hill then Pringle as my two favorites here, and I think it's hard to play the quarterbacks at these Pat Mahomes is 7,800, Joe Burrow is 6,900. I think you could probably stack this game without playing the quarterbacks. And I think that Joe Mixon, who we didn't, discuss yet, I think Joe Mixon is a really strong play. I'm not going to play any running back from Kansas City. Oh, hold on. Let me think a second. Hold on. Without CEH, they will play some Derek Gore. It does worry me a little bit because I don't think they want Williams, maybe, but Williams definitely has the potential to have a game here. So I guess I would consider Williams, but I'm heavy on the, Mixon with maybe a Higgins with either Hill or Pringle on the other side. That's where I'm at. But I do think it's going to be hard to play the quarterbacks unless we get other screaming value other places, because I think that, there's people always say, oh, if you're going to play two receivers, you should be playing the quarterback and stuff. You really don't need to treat the NFL like that anymore. You can play with a quarterback with one receiver, because especially one with rushing upside. But this isn't definitely going to be, obviously the marquee game of the week. It's a really big game. I don't know where I stand on it. I actually have a feeling it's going to be a tough one for KC, but I think that they're going to pull it out. I just don't love the 5 points giving up on the road. It's pretty crazy because if this game was played, 7 weeks ago, I think you'd have Cincinnati favored by 5.
Yeah.
And the funny part is Cincinnati's coming off of a monstrous win, although I get the team with no players. But that's how I've got this. That's what I've got. Hill, Pringle, or Kelsey, Higgins, Chase, or Boyd, potentially any two of those in a game stack with Mixon and I think Mixon is a really strong play. Actually, they'll use him in the passing game too. So I think Mixon I would rate higher, but obviously I think that you're going to have Darrell Williams in play. So Mixon or Williams, I think are both interesting. So,
do you have any interest at all in the Washington Philly game?
I always have interest. Well, first of all, I think we should, because I think this game is actually, like, it's funny. Philly's only favored by 3.5. I think people would have thought this would have been higher. I think Jalen Hurts is going to project as being one of the best quarterbacks in the slate. And when they need him to be, I'm not saying how good he really is. I'm just saying that he does run the ball a ton. Last week, you didn't get as many rushing attempts out of him because they were up by, they were down early, but then they were up by what I felt like in no time, they were up by 30. So I think this is a better game environment for him. And I think he's got a high ceiling. So I think Hurts is interesting. And I think that Goddard is interesting. I can't figure out what I want to do except for that Antonio Gibson is clearly banged up, but if it feels wrong to play him on a big slate. But he's 5,900 against a team that's been, just torched on the ground all year. So that's what I've got for this game.
Yeah, I really don't know much of anything, and I'm not I don't think I'm going to be doing Jalen Hurts.
No Hurts for you. Okay.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Oh, by the way, Washington. I mean, one other thing I want to point out is that Washington cannot, they can't seem to stop tight ends or wide receivers. So I do think that Devontae Smith is probably in play too, but I prefer Goddard.
Yeah. Okay. So I will say that as a one-off, I do think Goddard is one of the top, definitely one of the top, if not the top tight end on the slate. I will say that.
Yeah. All right. You want to take us over to the next one?
Yeah. So Tampa Bay at the Jets. I mean, unfortunately for the Jets, they're getting Tampa off a shutout loss, which is not good. It's not good for the Jets, and I think that they're going to probably be in a lot of trouble.
Well, no, remember the Washington Tampa Bay won the last game.
Oh, they came. Who'd they play in the
Carolina? That was the game before against.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I still think the Jets are in a little bit of trouble here. The thing is that I do think that the Jets are in a weird way live. Tampa really, I don't want to say has nothing to play for. They're not getting the 1 seed, okay? Because Green Bay is just going to win out. They're going to take the 2 and 3 or whatever. This is a game where where they're not. I don't think they're going to bring their best for whatever that's worth. But as far as projections go, I mean, it's kind of hard to deny, the possibility of Antonio Brown getting 3 touchdown passes, or Gronkowski getting 2 touchdown passes. So these guys do project the best for me of anybody on the slate. The Tampa stack. So I'll just go with that. So Brady, Gronk, Brady, Brown. I don't want to play Ronald Jones, but that was a big mistake last week, apparently. He's projected to be one of the better running backs. And on the Jets side, I'll run it back with Braxton Berrios if need be. So that's where I'm at this.
Yeah, maybe Berrios. If there's no Crowder, that's going to determine that one for me. As it stands right now, I have I probably won't have any interest in anybody on the Jets, assuming that Berrios is in. It is a cheap price tag on Michael Carter, and I like his talent level. But they've even used Tevin Coleman a little bit, and I just don't want to. I don't want to play against this Tampa Bay run defense. I do think Ronald Jones is strongly in play because of just what we've seen happen to the Jets every week. Just the running backs go nuts. But I think Antonio Brown's one of the best plays in the slate. And I think Gronk I would have rated pretty far behind Brown, but he's definitely in play as well. I think Antonio Brown is I think he could have a bad game and he'll have 20 some odd fantasy points anyway. So that's where I'm at for this one. All right, Miami and Tennessee. Oof, interesting.
I got 14 games, man. I don't need anything from here. It's really a pass for me. Look, Waddle's been playing well. He's really, really strong. But Tennessee's legit, man. I will tell you something else that I did, just so you guys know. As Tennessee was marching down the field to kick the the game-winning field goal on Christmas, I was able to get Tennessee at 22-1 to win the Super Bowl. So I grabbed that. We'll see how it goes. They actually have it's a tiny chance to get the 1 seed. Kansas City's got to lose, but Tennessee's on good track to get the 2 seed. That means home games, and they rate to get Derrick Henry back for the first round of the playoffs. So I'm happy with that. And Tennessee's certainly coming into form. AJ Brown, people forgot how good this guy was from when he was out for all those weeks. He came back and just freaking smashed against a really, really good team. So maybe AJ Brown, maybe Waddle, but I just feel both of them. I just think they're better options.
Brown and Waddle for me, and my take on the game is I like Miami, but that's very early week look. But I also like the over a little bit in that game. But I think both of these, both defenses are really good, obviously, but I do like AJ Brown and I do like Waddle. I don't have a whole lot from that one either. Vegas and Indy. We have no Carson Wentz. which if there's such thing means even more Jonathan Taylor, like, right? You know what I mean? Obviously Taylor is a phenomenal play. He's going to project as a high scoring play, probably a little bit under projected in my opinion. I think he should be close to 30. And, sort of quietly, Hunter Renfrow has become like one of the more consistent wide receivers in the NFL.
Amazing,
And
right?
yeah, he's been really, really solid for the most part this season. I don't think I'm going to use him, but just throwing that out there. And we might get Darren Waller back. I don't think I'm going to play him if he's in, but I definitely would consider him. I would have to revisit, Waller versus Gronk, I guess the same price point. But mostly that's pretty much it for me in this game. Jonathan Taylor, and I don't want to mess with the passing game of it. I mean, Pittman is cheap enough where you could take a shot on him, but you're playing with Sam Ehringer. What's his name? The quarterback is going to be.
I don't even know who it's going to be.
It's going to be Sam Ehlinger.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's what they've got it as, but I don't know if that's who it is. So I'm not that high on this game except for Taylor.
Yep, Taylor, and that's it. And I'm planning to play Taylor.
Yeah. All right, we can move along. Another one that's not all that exciting. I think that this is probably a stay away too, right? Unless I'm missing something to.
No, I think you are. I think you want to play Montgomery.
Yeah, here's my issue with Montgomery. Well, first of all, he was my millionaire. He was my guy in the millionaire that had a shot. Very frustrating when he carries the ball on a 20-yard carry to the one, and then they take him out because he just got winded because he's been running the whole drive, and they bring him the backup and he scores the touchdown. And then they go 1st and goal from the 5, and they literally 5 times don't give it to him. Also, another part of the game. Now I know he had 21 carries, but he ran for 45 yards against a very mediocre Seattle defense. I do think Montgomery's in play, so I think he's fine.
And the Bears defense remains in play. You don't have to watch these guys every week. I mean, not that I have to. You give me either Glennon or Fromm. That's not even. I mean, I would almost take the guy from New Orleans over those two. I mean, that's saying
don't go that far.
that's saying a lot. These guys are a lot. These guys are terrible.
Yeah,
these guys are just awful. And I will give the Giants over under 200 total yards this game. I mean, they just, and I don't even care if the Bears defense is no good anymore. I think I just literally they have nothing to offer right now. And
yeah.
But the only thing that kind of scares me about this, like from a spread perspective, is like my bias for openers. And how is this only 6? I don't quite get it. Someone's got to know something to keep this thing at only 6, because the Giants are not coming within a touchdown of anybody.
Well, the Bears have their 3rd string quarterback, and granted, he's the best 3rd string quarterback. He'd probably be better than most of the 2nd string quarterbacks in football. So that's part of the reason why. I think that Robinson and I think that Kmet are in play, but that's pretty much it for me. I can't fathom a world on this slate playing a Giant player at first glance. Like, unless they're going to say, hey, we want Barkley to go out in style, we're going to give him 25 carries. Like, I really can't see playing anybody. All right, Atlanta. What do you got?
This next game could deliver. I'll tell you this. Atlanta is not that bad. Okay. And not only are they not that bad, but they are still alive for a playoff spot in the ridiculous NFC. They're going to bring whatever they have to this game. And Buffalo, as you know, is playing for a division title. Okay. Mm-hmm. If Buffalo takes this game a little bit, doesn't take this game too seriously, this could be a tough game. And I think that this game, could be a candidate for one that blows the slate apart. And the only issue, not the only issue, there are plenty of issues, obviously. I really don't want to get caught in a freaking terrible Buffalo weather game. You know what I mean? That I don't want to do. Okay. But if you can get Atlanta to come right out of the gate and somehow, march down the field, get Pitts a touchdown or get Gage a touchdown and force Buffalo into a situation where they feel they have to really score, I think this game could deliver. So I'm gonna try it. I like Josh Allen. I like Diggs. I like Dawson Knox. I guess I don't know who's playing, but maybe Emmanuel Sanders, throw him in there. And the guys I mentioned on Atlanta, Diggs, not Diggs, Pitts and Gage and our favorite and Cordell Patterson. I think this game can be. I don't know if it's gonna be underrated. I don't know where ownership is coming in yet or any of
I
this
don't think
stuff,
it's going to have much ownership.
but I think this game has possibilities.
Yeah, I think that if it's bad weather in Buffalo, I think they're going to get trucked. I
I
mean,
agree.
but it's I kind of see what you're saying. I do think I mean Atlanta, like I don't know, they barely beat all the bad teams and then they get smoked by 30 by all the good teams, and I just am going to play that. That's what's going to happen here. Like, I do think Kyle Pitts is in play either way. They're getting him the ball. He's still playing for the offensive rookie of the year, kind of. It's going to be Mac Jones, but he's back in the mix at least. And Buffalo, the only problem is if you play the Allen stacks, who are you playing him with outside of Diggs? I don't know if you can do anybody with everybody back receiving wise and more guys in the mix because Isaiah McKenzie went completely nuts last week. So I guess Diggs to Allen to Diggs is probably my favorite of the combinations with maybe a Pitts run back.
Okay.
All right. Rams and Baltimore. No line.
Probably because of Lamar.
Because Lamar.
Well, but Baltimore has proven now on multiple occasions that they are Coors Field.
They've also been missing. I think they were missing 14 of their top 22 defenders last week, so they should have a lot of those guys back. Just to throw that out there.
Nonetheless, I am going to try it. Cup, Stafford, Odell, Higbee, and as usual, no idea what to run it back with. And I know what you're going to say. If Lamar is playing, just play the receivers from the Rams and run it back with Lamar. Maybe I will finally, after 3 years of playing DFS, never doing that. Maybe this is the time to do it. I think that the Rams are going to just blast this team. I just do. I don't know what to tell you. And they've won like 6 in a row, haven't they? The Rams. I mean, they've been playing much
Not
better.
6 in a row, but they've won. They've been
whatever
winning.
It is. And they're cruising. I mean, like people thought Arizona was like the nuts for like a while, and Rams are like just bye to them. They're you know what I mean? Like so I do like them a lot. I don't like the running backs for the Rams, and that's where I am.
Yeah, I like this game as a stack. I think Baltimore wins this game, and I'm a Rams fan.
Okay.
If Lamar plays, that is. If Lamar or Huntley were to play.
We'll finalize that $1 bet once we have a little more clarity.
I'm not making a bet against my team, but
okay.
Even for $1, it doesn't feel
That's
right.
Fair. Bad karma. I get it.
It's just this feels like a setup to me, and it's a must-win for Baltimore. I think that Lamar will play because they said last week he would have played if it was a playoff game. I think Bateman is kind of an interesting tournament play. I think Brown is an interesting tournament play, but the guy I want to, I'm going to play Lamar with Andrews, and then, like you said, I'm going to play some of these Rams receivers. But I think that Sony Michel is being overlooked, and he has been really good. Now, Cam Akers should be coming back, but Darrell Henderson is out. Cam Akers is good, but you look at the last 3 games from Sony Michel: 24 carries, 20 and 27. 2 of the games, had really nice games. They put up 20 fantasy points in 22 and 20 and a half. The only issue you get is you get those little cup touchdowns near the goal line that sort of vulture a little bit of his upside. But he's running the ball well. We've seen Baltimore get burned on the ground before. We've seen them get burned through the air before. Obviously, last week is a great example of that. They were actually burned on the ground and through the air. They just gave up 650 yards or whatever the hell it was of offense. I think that Kupp was number 1, Beckham number 2, Jefferson number 3. They really are trying to work Beckham in here. And then I think that on the Baltimore side, it's one of the Bateman, Brown, or Andrews, but Andrews would be my favorite. He's just really expensive. I really like the Lamar play this week, though. I don't mind Lamar against a heavy pass rush. It doesn't really bother him that much. He just runs his way around it.
All right, Houston, San Francisco. This is a very interesting game for San Francisco. They had a lot of steam going into that Christmas Day game, and they lost. And Garoppolo was terrible, as he always is, as you mentioned on many occasions. And now they're in a situation where they're 8-7. And they got all these teams that are 7-8 just kind of trolling behind them. And they need to win. Now they have a game against Houston where they're a 13-point favorite. But they got news that Garoppolo wasn't just a sprained thumb. They actually have it as a UCL tear, which ain't a lot of fun. And interlaid on top of that, though, is this you tell me, but I get the sense that the fan base kind of prefers Trey Lance anyway. Or if they don't prefer him, they certainly wouldn't mind him if he took over for him. So I feel as though it is going to be Trey Lance this week. And it's a tough, they look, even though they're a 13-point favorite, they really need to win. And Houston's been feisty. They just got a big win off against the Chargers with no players, and they get back Brandon Cooks for this week. I'm not going to play Trey Lance or anything like that, but I just want to give a little background for this game. I think that from a fantasy perspective, I don't think there's much to do. I think that San Francisco is going to spread it around whatever running backs that can slam down Houston's throat. They're going to get Debo involved. They're going to get Ayuk involved. They'll get Kittle involved. But I don't think there's enough in there to really play these guys in fantasy all that much. That's just that's my opinion. Cooks is activated off of the COVID list, as I mentioned, so he's going to be playing. And if that's the case, if you do want to play San Francisco guys, you do have a natural run back now of Cooks. And that's a pretty long explanation of why I don't really want to play too much this game, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's really tempting with Trey Lance in a regular season early game or something where they didn't need to win and couldn't probably pound the ball running. I would have some interest in him at 4,800 because I think that's too cheap. And he's the perfect example of you play him with, I mean, you could literally almost play him on his own or play him with Kittle and then, run it back with Cooks, but then you could use all the other spend ups that you want to because he saves you at the quarterback position, which is very valuable. I think they're going to run the ball like crazy, San Francisco, and I think it's going to be with Samuel. I think it's going to be with Mitchell if he's in. It's going to be also some Jeff Wilson. You'll get a Jermichael Hasty play. They'll run some use check plays. Like it's just they'll run Kittle probably off guard. You know what I mean? Like they're just. I just think they're going to try and run all over Houston, and they're going to try to win the game that way. Not try to put the ball in Trey Lance's hands and let him do too much. However, I still have some interest in a stack of the game with Cooks as a run back. And I think the total for Houston is too low. I think Houston can put up some points on the Niners. So I actually think this game, they might be able to scare them a little bit.
I'll tell you, man, these Chargers, they really are a bunch of freaking underachievers, aren't they? I mean, they're just
weird. Well, they did. Yeah, it's true. They have no excuse for last week, but yeah, it was weird.
I mean, they can go into Cincinnati and beat a tough team. You know what I mean? And they can hang in there right to the end with Kansas City, and then they just throw in a dud like that.
They beat Kansas City earlier in the year.
They did. That's true. Yeah. It's just I have no way to explain it. In any case, they now are home against Denver to get a little revenge spot. They just lost at Denver last time they played, and now all of a sudden we have must-win games all over the place. And I do think it's going to be competitive. These teams, this team is going to project really, really well, as it always does, with Herbert. And now you have that value piece that Josh Palmer, who for me is projecting really, really strong. So you got, is Eckler going to play? I presume. So I guess all these guys are going to project pretty well. Man, it's a real test of that defenses doesn't matter thing, right? I mean, last time I advised against playing too much against Denver. I was at Denver, so it's different. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Once again, if these guys become too chalky, I don't know how much of it I'm going to have. But they are projecting us right now tied with like the 4th and 5th best stack on my board.
Yeah, I have interest in the Chargers for sure. I mean, every week, but so one of Guyton or Palmer. Take your pick. I guess I give a little bit of an edge to Palmer, assuming that Guyton's in. And if a Guyton's out, I'm going to be into Palmer again. Eckler, I don't think I'm going to go there, but I'm open to it. On the Denver side, I'm still waiting for the Jerry Jeudy game. I didn't end up needing to play him last week because we had so much other late news and stuff. But I guess Judy and Fant would be my favorites. I think Fant actually, that might be a really strong play that no one's sort of talking about. I know he hasn't really done much lately, but it's just the Chargers versus tight ends that has him somewhat interesting to me. But yeah, I mostly am interested in the cheap Chargers, and that's pretty much it. I think you can stack them. You could play Keenan Allen too, but I don't know. Something about it feels like a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it is the right play on this slate. Doesn't feel great at the moment, but I think Herbert to Allen and one of the two cheapy receivers is viable.
Now Detroit, Seattle, I am happy to say that after a long season of sweating it out in Survivor against the most feisty Detroit team like you could ever remember, I am finally do not have to root against them ever again, because I am not playing Seattle in Survivor this week. I'm probably going to play San Francisco and the aforementioned spot. And now I can just sit there and watch all these people that are going to play Seattle have to sweat this same freaking Detroit freaking juggernaut. I don't know how they just keep on fighting every freaking game.
Yep.
Now they had Boyle last week, and they almost got there with Boyle, and no Swift. I think also. I think Goff is going to be back. Goff's going to be back. On the other side of this game, you have Seattle. This could be, you want a narrative, this could be Russell Wilson's last game at home.
Yep.
At Seattle. So that could be worth something.
Also, he needs to make it like people who all want to sign this guy, like he's been terrible for like a year and a half. Terrible.
Yeah.
Not even like average. So maybe he needs to show out a little bit.
Yeah. So if you want to try this, okay, based on that narrative, whatever you want, listen, Detroit's been stingy, but if you tell me that they're finally going to Russell Wilson throw the ball 40 times, I mean, I'm going to try it. Right. And I will tell you this on the Detroit side, there's a guy who's really, really good. Now, the only reason I know this is because I've been forced to sweat Detroit games all year.
St. Brown.
That freaking wide receiver, St. Brown.
Yeah.
He is really, really good.
He is.
And if you play anybody from this game, I mean, if you're stacking Seattle, I would totally play St. Brown. And I might even play St. Brown anyway. So that's where I'm at in this.
Yeah, I like the St. Brown idea, and I like the idea of the Seattle like passing stack with one or two of the big receivers. I want to see how the weather is. I don't think it's going to be snowing like it was last time. That was pretty nuts. But yeah, I kind of like the idea of what you're saying. I agree that St. Brown is a really, really good receiver. The only thing I would say to be caution of, like, I actually wouldn't worry as much this week, because I think that Detroit is throwing in the towel, and they're now number one pick bound, right? Or they're right there.
So no, they screwed up. I think they got.
Maybe you're right. I got to double check the innings.
You could be right, actually. Yeah, but you tell him that Goff. I mean, listen, how many games has Goff played at that stadium? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Detroit doesn't give up. They keep freaking playing.
They do, but they kind of threw in the towel last week when they could have had a chance against Atlanta.
They did no such thing.
And the fourth, they did. They absolutely did down the stretch. They were running the ball on like third and whatever, down by 4 points in the third and 10, down by 4 points. That's given up. I mean, in my opinion, I think they'll fight for 3 quarters and then try to blow it in the end. So that's what my take is, but we can agree to disagree. I do like DeAndre Swift if he's back, and I like St. Brown with the Seattle stack. I like the Seattle stack idea.
Okay, so I'm not. Listen, I'm not a fortune teller, but I will say this: if you win the Millie Maker, and you have guys from this last game, God bless you.
Wait, we have 2 more games.
I'm looking at I have 2 more games. I was looking at Carolina, New Orleans. Oh, that's so funny, because the last game will not be God bless you. The last game will be you're probably huge chalk. Carolina, New Orleans. I mean, that game is a freaking horror show. I mean, I don't know what the total is. I was joking about it with Jack on the phone yesterday. I'm like, what's the over under? It's like 20. I mean, this is a disaster. I'm playing nothing. I don't want any part of it. Someone else can play. People from this.
Yeah, it's not a game where I want any part of the New Orleans at first glance. I do think DJ Moore is in play, and even a little bit Robbie Anderson, but more DJ Moore. I think he's getting to a price point where he could put up that weird outlier 35-point game. And I don't think it's that much of an outlier. This is a guy who's a top quality receiver and hasn't really had a regular quarterback, and it still doesn't really. But if Darnold gets more snaps, especially, I think that he's definitely in play. With Darnold early in the season, he was going nuts, and I think this.
You like Kamara at all?
No, I don't like taking running backs against Carolina.
I mean, they were supposed to give him the ball 100 times. He was supposed to smash on Monday night or whatever. He did nothing.
I mean, they tried at first. It's hard when you only get three snaps every time, if that, before your quarterback throws a pick six or something.
Right.
He still had touches. Like, it just was hard. They should have tried to set up more screens and stuff, but I think that's what the defense was designing for. So, yeah, it's not an exciting game for me. I do think DJ Moore is in play, though.
All right. So you got a team like Arizona who was like anointed like the next big thing. They come off a bye and they lose to Detroit. Okay. As a 100-point favorite. And then they come in on Thanksgiving and lose on Christmas and lose at home to the Colts. Not that losing the Colts is that bad, but they lost the Colts. They're all of a sudden in a tailspin. And there is nothing you want less than to go play at Dallas right now. I mean, especially when your defense might be a little fishy. I mean, Dallas is freaking. I mean, look, they played it. They totally called Washington by a freaking surprise. Washington didn't know what they were getting themselves into in this game.
Yep.
And Dallas just came out and they threw like this was a freaking welcome, everybody. We're the man right now, so to speak. And I don't care what their record is. I mean, that was a I don't care who they were playing. That was an exhilarating performance that first half.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's going to set the stage for a lot of points being scored here. And it's kind of irresponsible for me not to say that I like Prescott. I like CeeDee Lamb. I like Amari Cooper. I like Michael Gallup. And I think I can't see any reason why they don't go crazy again. As far as run backs from Arizona, that's where I'm having a trouble at this point. Like I don't know what to do. Anton Wesley, or who's that other guy? There's another guy who's not bad, but I almost want to play a freaking Dallas onslaught here. I don't know what to do here.
I think Christian Kirk is.
Kirk.
I mean, look, you've got Diggs, who everybody loves, and is leads the league in interceptions and everything. He's also given up the most yards to any player in football. So I wouldn't be worried about throwing the ball against them. So Kirk or Green would be where I would go.
Green.
And I think both tight ends are in play, both Ertz and Schultz. I actually think this tight end week is better. I guess I like tight ends better than most people do, but I think both tight ends are in play with Schultz and Ertz. But I'm having a little trouble. Like if I'd have to just play the Dallas stack with Dak, and that Dak's cheap enough. But CD and Amari are pricing up a little bit. I think you could even play Gallup in this game. I think my number one would be Amari. My number two would be CD. For them, but I definitely like the game stack, and I think that I might even take a shot that James Conner gets back the full workload. I don't know though, because Edmonds had a good week last week, but Conner really was the guy all season long for them, and has put up some absolutely massive fantasy performances. So I think they're going to rely on their best bet, which is probably going to be their veterans, and that's going to be Conner. So I don't mind him as a run back either, but this is definitely one of the games to stack, and I've got a number of them. You want me to run through my plays real quick?
Let me ask you a question. What's the spread of that game?
I don't have a spread yet.
Okay.
I don't even know which guys I necessarily want to play. I know I'm interested in both quarterbacks and both stacks, and I don't know which guys I want most. I think Arizona will be competitive at least. I don't think they're going to get slaughtered here, but I do like this game a lot. I've got a few other games that I like. Too many probably, but it's a big slate. This is my favorite probably. I think the Chiefs and Bengals, depending on the weather, would be my favorite without the quarterbacks though. I think you get more rushing upside from guys like Kyler and all these guys where you could play them, or you could even do the weird Trey Lance and then stack those other games without the quarterback from the Chiefs Bengals. But those are my two favorites. I like Baltimore and the Rams. Same thing, Lamar. You could use Lamar instead of his other quarterbacks as he runs. San Francisco, Houston is a sneaky game stack that I think is interesting, like we talked about. The full-on Seattle hammer stack and the San Diego stacks are my main stacks. I will probably have one of the Cincinnati receivers or Mixon. And I will have probably one of the main target, either Hill, Kelsey, or Pringle. And those guys will probably be staples throughout my lineups, regardless of what I'm stacking. I also will have the Jalen Hurts stack. So there's a lot of stuff that's, I said that sometimes you want to narrow down on a big slate, but I think on this one, I might get a little spread out because it is week 17. There's a lot of variance, a lot of teams with questionable things to play for. And that's sort of what I'm targeting this week.
Yeah, I'll go through it. I like Tampa the best, then Chargers, Cowboys, then Rams, KC. As far as running backs go, just to give a couple. I like Montgomery, Taylor, Josh Jacobs. I like a little bit. Then I got others like Kamara, Mixon, tight end. I like Gronk and Goddard the best. And wide receivers outside the construct of the stacks. I would play. Well, obviously, I play Brown as a one-off. I play Kupp as a one-off. Palmer, Berrios, and again, I'll go back to Marvin Jones Jr. is just something to look for. And then defenses, my top three are the Patriots, the Bears, and the Chargers.
I like it. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting day for sure. We just got news that Tim Patrick is going to be out, so I'm just going to give a little bit more love to Jerry Jeudy in that Charger game.
Well, that's exactly I saw that. That's the exact reason I took the Chargers defense. Only because of the Tim Patrick news.
Oh. All right. Well, good luck to everybody this week. We hope somebody takes something down. And Rody and I will be doing our picks video tomorrow, and we will I will be live before lock at 11:30 Eastern. Hopefully, Sheets and Rody can join me.
Oh, you know what? I got something for you guys. Just in case. I don't see you guys because you won't be live. This is only for the people that have made it this far. I have 2 college basketball picks from Jack. So I got Tennessee -2 and Auburn -4.
He always loves Tennessee.
No idea who they're playing, but that's what I got for you, and I'm going to do it just for fun.
All right, sounds good. Well, good luck to everybody this week. Good luck, Sheets, and we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys at 6 Eastern on Wednesday, and then I'll see you at 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. Good luck, everybody.
See you later.